Hi, I'm Superintendent Darryll McCall from the Wachusett Regional School District. I'm here today at Mountview Middle School, where I'll be meeting with Principal Eric Githmark, and we'll be taking a tour of the outside of Mountview Middle School and the new building. After that, we'll move over to Wachusett Regional High School, where we will be talking with Principal Bill Beando about some of the extracurricular activities going on there. Why don't you come join me now? Hi, I'm Darryll McCall, Superintendent from the Wachusett Regional School District, here with Principal Eric Githmark from Mountview Middle School. Eric, so you've been principal now for many years. We're here at the beautiful new Mountview Middle School. This is quite an exciting time. Can you tell us a little bit about why you got into education in the first place and what's so special about being a middle school principal?
Sure. Well, I got into education about 22 years ago as a fourth grade teacher and never saw myself as an administrator. But I've had the opportunity to do this job for almost 10 years now, and I love what I do. I love working with teachers. I love working with the community, and the kids here are fantastic. And working with middle school kids is always an interesting thing because you never know what to expect every day, but at the same time, that's what I love about the job.
Right.
We work hard, but we also have a lot of laughs and love what we do.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, you actually went to Mountview as a student.
I went to Jefferson School.
Oh, Jefferson,
across
okay,
town, but
okay.
Mountview was here when I grew up.
Right,
I
right.
know it well.
Okay, excellent. So we're very fortunate today in that we're able to be on the backside of Mountview. This is going to be the courtyard that leads into the cafeteria. So do you want to just talk a little bit about the building experience so far for you?
Yeah, this has been about a 5-year process for us, starting with just feasibility study, just to determine what our options are for the new construction or if we're going to renovate the existing building. Mm-hmm. That feasibility study led us to decide to build a brand new school on existing school property. And so what we have now is this brand new school being put up. It's going to be fantastic. The school itself is, in terms of the size, it's much bigger in terms of classroom space, music space. Some of our other areas are just twice the size of what we've had in the existing building. So it's going to give us a lot more opportunities for instructional purposes as well as access to technology, everything being brand new. It's going to be a great treat for us.
Do you want to talk about some of those new spaces? I know, right over here you have a beautiful music room right next to a band room, which then leads to a stage, which then leads to the gymnasium where you'll be able to have your performances. I mean, it's just, even the arts alone.
Yeah, it's just, the design from the start makes sense. And right now in the existing Mountview Middle School, we've got band and chorus rooms that are right in between math classroms and language arts classrooms. And it makes it tough for instruction purposes in the math and language arts classes, as well as being in the music program, trying to be sensitive to the classrooms around them.
Right.
In this building, we've got two real distinct portions of the school, the A and the B building. The A building is where the music classrooms are located, and it's going to be great. They've got a tremendous amount of space. The rooms are designed for band, chorus, string orchestra. There's a ramp that leads them up to the stage, so when they have concerts, they can practice, warm up, and head right up onto the stage to do their performances. It's way more efficient than what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, it's a great design. In terms of the academic wing on this side, I've been really interested when I've done my walkthroughs in the science labs. Can you talk a little bit about the science labs?
Yeah, the science labs, we spent a lot of time designing those spaces. The amount of square footage in those rooms is way more than what we've got in our current building. And it was a nice opportunity for our science teachers to work together to plan what they want to see in each of those classrooms. There's an adjoining storage room in between each of the science classrooms, so teachers can share materials easily. They can store everything they need, and then they can also work together as team members and talk about instruction and have that close proximity to each other. And all the tables that are in there are going to have epoxy tabletops, all the counters, compressed gas, air. It's going to be state-of-the-art for our kids.
You're literally going from mid-20th century to the 21st century overnight.
Absolutely, you're right.
Oh, that's fantastic. And speaking of that, in terms of technology, I know in your current building, you have some dated technology, dated computers and so forth. Can you talk about some of the new technology that's going to be in this building?
Yeah, we're going to have one of the best benefits of being in a new school is that technology budget that allows us to make purchases that we really can't do on a regular year.
Right.
And so for us, that allows us to purchase Chromebook carts. We're going to have 120 to 130 Chromebooks per pod, which would contain about 120 or 130 students. And so we're going to have 6 pods with that many Chromebooks. So it's almost going to give us one-to-one student access to technology like that. Wi-Fi throughout the school, so it's going to be a robust Wi-Fi system. In our tech department, we're going to have 3D printers, lots of tablets. It's just designed from the beginning to be able to give us an incredible capacity to use technology.
Yeah, it's unbelievable when I've looked at the sketches, when I've looked at the different FF&E items that are going into the building. You just mentioned a couple of things, Chromebooks, for instance, and our audience, just to explain what a Chromebook is versus what a typical laptop might be.
Sure. So for us, a Chromebook is basically just a device that connects to Google through the Wi-Fi system, and the computer itself doesn't really house or have many internal mechanisms that you don't save to that device necessarily. Everything you do is done online through that device, and so kids can log in anywhere. With their Google device, the Chromebook here, they can log in at home on any computer and basically have access to all their files, email, websites that teachers designate for them to access. So it's a very efficient system for us to use.
Oh, that's fantastic. Some of the learning spaces for teachers, you have your teacher rooms are very well equipped with technology and so forth, conference rooms and other items that are in the building. How are those going to be incorporated into what happens every day?
Yeah, so we're going to have interactive projectors in every instructional space, even in conference rooms and team rooms where parent meetings can take place. Kids can do presentations on there throughout the building, and it's just a projector, no hardboard, smartboard hardware to worry about.
Right.
And that'll be in almost every space within the building. Teachers will have 2 computers in their classroom. One will be their teacher workstation. The other one will be used for presentations and connected to the projector, where kids can go on and bring up their own materials as well.
That's great. You have a unique flooring situation here. It's not the typical tiles that we see in most schools. Can you talk a little bit about the tiles?
Sure. So the linoleum system we're using on the floor here is giant sheets of that product. So it's a product that you don't need to strip the wax off or add wax to it in the off season. So in the summertime, our custodian crew will spend a lot less time stripping and cleaning floors, and they can work on preventive maintenance and keeping the building looking brand new for as long as we can.
Right. And with the building that is really so advanced, it's a great thing to do, not have on the plate of custodians every single summer, because that's something I'm sure that your custodians are doing now or have been doing in the old building. Yeah,
it's a big chunk of our summertime, and a lot of the benefits of the new school, everything's going to be automated, so we're able to lock doors remotely. We're able to make sure our systems are running. We can check that from a phone if we want to. And it's a good way to make sure that everything's operating the way it's designed to.
In reference to the actual move, I'm on the building committee with you. We've talked about it enough times, but if you can just talk to the audience a little bit about what the move, what the plans are around, getting into the building.
Sure, it's a big job for us. So right now, today is a professional development day for the district, but yet we have students at Mountview in session today. And what we are designed is to have school today so that we can have a day in April or in the springtime that we can use that day to move so students would not be in school that day. Our goal is to be able to get a day in the new building, have the instructional materials moved over, and that would give them a full day to unpack and get moved in. And we'd have a weekend afterward, and then our hope would be to start school that Monday, April 11th, and that all comes down to how our winter goes and the construction project schedule. But that would give us a good move-in plan and get ready to start things right on the 11th.
And when we were walking around the building, you were talking with the crew a little bit about the process that you're going to use in terms of bringing the stuff over from the old building to the new building.
So the company that we're working with right now is going to give us some real large wheeled plastic bins, and basically they'll be able to deliver those to classrooms. Teachers can fill those up with their materials clearly marked for their classroom location. Instead of loading those into moving trucks, we're just going to construct a ramp from the old building to the new building and wheel it right across the street into the elevator and into their classrooms. And so we'll do that the few days before we have that day here to unpack. And basically we're only moving instructional materials, which is still a lot, but we're not moving furniture, we're not moving technology. So it's basically teacher belongings is what's going to be moved over there and unpacked on that day when we reschedule.
Right. And I think ultimately that's one of the things that becomes not an issue for teachers, but I know I was a teacher. I taught 4th grade as well, and you amass a certain amount of material over time.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We're going through our files and we're purging old materials.
Right.
We use Google for a lot of what we're using in the classroom now. So a lot of that is electronic and digital. So we're purging the paper copies of things that are not necessary because it's kept on the server. It's kept on with Google. So we are going to bring certain amounts of paper over, but the hope is really that we can take advantage of this opportunity and purge a lot of outdated materials and just not even bring them over.
Right. In terms of security, this building is going to have a state-of-the-art security system versus most schools, out there today. Can you talk a little bit about?
Sure. Yeah. One of the great things with this new school is that it's going to have automatic door locks. So at a predetermined time every day in the morning, the doors are unlocked while students come into the building, while faculty are coming in, and at whatever the time is that we specify, everything locks down. Again, you could check on a phone or on a computer to show that each of the locks are operating properly. So you'll know that all the doors are locked by a little green LED light lighting up.
Yeah.
In terms of other safety, during the school day, people have to buzz in and to be identified with the camera system. And then instead of coming into the main part of the school, they'll actually come in through a side door into the office directly. And so they won't have access to the actual school itself until they've checked in a second time at the office, identified themselves and state their purpose for being in the building, and then they can get into the classroom spaces.
Yes.
And we're also going to have some nice systems in case there's ever a lockdown or a shelter in place, other potential emergency situations where a lot of those drills or situations could be handled just through the push of a button. It would automatically call 911, it would call the central office, it would have a pre-recorded announcement go out to our students. So we just want to, the more we can automate systems like that in times of an emergency, I think the better off we'll be to make sure everything's handled smoothly.
Exactly, and this is a great opportunity for us to do that.
Yeah.
With this school. What's also unique, this will be the only school that has solar panels on it in our school district.
That's right. So yeah, we're putting up panels still, and we're going to be able to generate about 50% of our electricity from those solar panels.
That's amazing.
So what's going to happen for us is in the summertime when we're not in session, a lot of that power goes to the town of Holden, and we generate credits from that. And then in the winter when we need more power, we've got full student body in here, and there's less sun out there. We can buy those credits back and help ourselves out.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, what I'd like to do is maybe walk around to the front of the building, and we'll talk a little bit more there, and we can take some more pictures of the front, and you can really see the difference between Mountview now and the new Mountview.
That sounds great.
Okay, thanks. So Eric, we're over here on the west side of the building now, and you have a beautiful storage outbuilding right now that we're looking at. You want to talk a little bit about how that's going to be used?
Sure. Yeah. So we have this building constructed so that we can put snow removal equipment, grass cutting equipment, just the stuff that we need for the custodian department to operate and keep the facility clean. We're going to keep all those things outside. There's a radiant heating system in the floor to help melt the snow in the wintertime after they're done plowing. We also have a third area in this storage unit for the town. We want to give the town an opportunity to store athletic materials, equipment that they may have on site, and we used to have a couple of outside storage units that they could have access to. Now that those have been taken down, we wanted to make sure that they had somewhere for their things to be kept.
And where's the fourth compartment for your car?
Yeah, that's around back.
Okay. So what's nice about this area is that you also have your fields that are being put in right now, right next to the building.
That's right. So the existing site for the new school was our field hockey and soccer field. So when the school was built back here, we had to come up with a new location for some of the fields that were bumped. Okay. So we're going to have a softball field constructed over here. Baseball field is going to stay where it is currently. And then when the school, the existing Mountview Middle School is ripped down, that'll be space for parking, and we're going to have a new soccer, field hockey / football field in the front of the building. It's going to look great.
So you're going to have a much more space in terms of athletic fields and parking, because I know that's an issue that you've dealt with since your time here. Parking is just
the setback
very challenging
off of Shrewsbury Street is probably triple of what we have it right now. So the design of the roadway, the parking spaces that we've set up are going to give us an opportunity to get cars off of Shrewsbury Street for school dances, big community events, and then we have the space inside to house as many people as we'd like as well. So it's a great program in terms of thinking out all of our needs and making sure that we've got the ability to handle all those problems that we currently wrestle with.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Having the opportunity for the extracurricular activities to really occur on site, have the parking for the families to come and watch, it's a great example of thinking ahead.
It is, and for us, some of the things that we have not been able to do in the past, we're a large school and we have a basketball game and we can only house 50 to 100 of our own students once you get the other teams in the school. So we're going to have a gym now that we can have as many kids participate and watch a basketball game as we'd like. I mean, those are community events that we've missed out on for the past few years that we'll be able to have. Again, here with our baseball and softball fields, plenty of room for parking, plenty of room for the kids to play, and it just makes a lot more sense for us. It's a more efficient setup for us.
Oh, that's fantastic. So one of the things I'd also like to do is maybe walk around to the front of the school in between the new school and the old school, and show the viewers what the cafeteria will look like?
Absolutely, it's beautiful.
Great, thank you. So Eric, we're out here now in front of the building again, and we have the cafeteria behind us. What a beautiful space this is going to be.
Yeah, the cafeteria is enormous compared to the space we currently have. It's designed to be able to feed the entire student population in 2 seatings instead of the 3 we currently have.
Right.
It's a lot more room. There's a lot more light coming in, as you can see by the giant glass windows behind us, and it's going to be a brighter spot for the kids. And more efficient again with the brand new kitchen, and the food service will be it'll be state of the art for our kids.
So in terms of your scheduling, you're going to be able to look at some different scheduling options, not having a 3 lunch block that you need to work
right.
around.
We have the opportunity to have a regular class period length lunchtime instead of having an hour-and-a-half block set aside as we currently do. So it will allow us to play around with our schedule a little bit if necessary, and we can fit more kids in there, and there's more room for the kids to spread out once they're in the cafeteria, which would be wonderful.
Right. Oh, I'm sure. Now, also in terms of looking at the transition from Mountview to the old Mountview to the new Mountview, in terms of busing and parent drop-off and so forth, what's busing going to look like?
So one of the things that we're pretty excited about is the fact that the road coming in and leaving the building is going to be designed the way it should be. So people are going to enter on the right, leave to the left, as it should be.
Right.
When carpoolers come in and parents want to drop kids off, they're actually going to go around the back of the school and come in through the back entrance, and the buses are going to queue up right in the front here. We're going to be able to let kids come right out onto the sidewalk and head into the front door, and I think it's important for safety that we have those 2 groups separated as much as possible, just so that we have buses watching other buses, and that way we've got people in the back supervising carpoolers getting dropped off. They're all going to meet inside the school once they're out of their respective car or bus.
And you have a nice, expansive front entrance area for the buses right now.
Yeah, this is perfect. The buses are going to be able to queue up. We have 14 buses that come on site every day, so it's going to allow them to queue up in a nice line right here. Good sight line so we can see everybody getting into the buses, make sure the kids are safe coming into school, and getting into the buses at the end of the day. It's going to be a pretty efficient system for us.
And we were just out back at the drop-off area for the first part of this discussion.
That's right, and that's where we're going to have cars directed once everything's done for the construction project.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, you also have a very nice office suite when you first come into the building. So, I know it's a little different from what you're dealing with right now at Mountview.
Yeah, we're actually going to have direct sunshine into our offices, which will be nice compared to what we have right now. But what I like about the office area, it's easily accessible. Easy for kids in the community to find us.
Yes.
And it's going to be very safe. Again, with the locking door system, it's going to be very safe for the secretaries to let people in who we want into the building.
Right.
And I think that's going to be helpful for us. We're also having our nurse's office right next to the administrative offices with an exit door in her office, because it's important for us. We have students with medical issues and maybe a medical emergency to be able to leave the building and use some discretion and not have it be a public experience. And so we added a door in that office so that we can get a student out into safe hands as quickly as possible.
So they don't actually have to exit out of the front of the building. They can exit out through.
Exactly. They're not leaving through the main lobby as we kind of have to do now.
That's great. So I'm very much interested also in the process now. Once the kids are moved into the building, what are the next steps for the
So it's going to happen
project?
quick. So when we move into the new school, literally within a few days, we have to get existing furniture out, and we're already working on a process of identifying what furniture we have and allowing other school administrators to look at that giant spreadsheet to pick desks and chairs and file cabinets to go to the other schools in the district. So we're going to have to go through that process very quickly once we're out to move existing furniture out that we want to keep, and then at that point it can go to the town and also be part of the demolition process where some of it gets donated and then some of it's left behind.
And then ultimately raising of this building here. What's the time frame for that?
So that's going to happen again pretty quick, because the construction company, CTA, wants to get the front parking lot completed as well as the front ball fields. They can't do any of that work until the existing building is taken down. So it's going to be a little tricky in the beginning, because they're going to start with the backside of the current school and work their way toward the front. So we're going to have to be careful with buses and carpools and really have a safety plan together, which we're already working on, just to make sure that we minimize the impact on instruction and make sure everybody's safe as they're removing the old school. But apparently they can do that process pretty quickly, and they're going to remove everything that's in the old building down to the bare soil.
That's wonderful, and it's interesting. We'll have a view of how close the old building is to the new building right now.
Yeah,
so.
this whole construction project has happened with about 100 feet of space or less between existing classrooms and the new construction site.
Right.
And a lot of parents and staff were concerned about that noise issue and how bad it would be. And we bought shades for all the classrooms so they could get rid of the visual distraction. And to be honest with you, the construction has not been an issue. I mean, there have been days when there's different things happening that are a distraction, but it's been nowhere close to what we had envisioned, and we're very thankful for that. And now we're at the point in the process where everything's being done inside, and so it's very quiet and peaceful in our existing building.
Well, I'm sure you're looking forward to early spring and moving in, and thank you so much for allowing us to take a tour today.
Yeah, you're
so
welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Great seeing you. Now what we'll do is head over to Wachusett Regional High School. We'll be meeting with Principal Bill Beando. So I'm here today with Principal Bill Beando from the high school, and Bill, we're in this beautiful auditorium that is utilized quite often during the school year. You have a play going on pretty soon. You have a number of shows going on. You want to talk a little bit about what's going on this fall?
Sure. I think one of our strong suits or one of our assets are the many, many things that we have to keep our kids invested in school beyond the school day, and sometimes during the school day as well, beyond classrooms. But the auditorium is one of our main focal points, and we have a stellar music program and drama program, which is what you're referring to. But during the year, we have 4 musical concerts where our kids perform both musically and with voice, certainly, and they are award-winning performers and have been over the years. And in addition to that, we have a fall performance, which is Harvey this year, and also in the spring we have a musical, which hasn't been announced what the title will be at this point, but we look forward to it, which is always a great show as well. So certainly many, many things for our kids to do just in that one arena, but it branches out also to beyond that. And we have a stellar art program for our kids that meets after school as a club as well. The National Art Honor Society does, and we have a drawing club as well. But many, many other things going on here at the high school. Where I think the school that never closes.
Right. We were talking about that. It's almost a 24/7 school where kids are here from 6:30 in the morning until well into the evening.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's a great. My philosophy is that I'd like the school to be the focal point of their social lives as well.
Right.
Not during the school day, but afterwards. And I would like there to be something for our kids to come to. This is a great place for kids from 5 towns to get together. And whether that be at a sporting event, whether it be at a musical, we have some talent shows coming up that the junior and senior class puts on, which will be up, I think, in December. They'll be doing that. We have a magician coming at one other weekend during the year, and certainly everybody's favorite is the hypnotist that we have come through that the Booster Club puts on. So this is a well-used area. And during the day we also have class meetings and things like that going on here too, for this one aspect of our extracurricular stuff.
That's wonderful. And I know you also had the opportunity to have your musical program actually travel down to Florida last spring, and you had the opportunity to go as well.
Yeah, it was a fantastic experience. I guess aside from the train ride that took about 24 hours, but it was a great experience to go there and watch our kids perform for such a large audience and in a huge stage, both literally and figuratively. The great thing there was while their kids received lessons from professionals that perform at Disney and beyond, and one of the women that taught a course to our students was a former Wachusett graduate, which is a pretty amazing feat. And which was a great lesson for our kids to show that this is where you can go if you want to work hard. And then undoubtedly we have kids that will aspire and probably achieve similar things in that area.
Definitely. Yeah. So you talked a little bit about the art program and so forth. I'd love to take a look at some of the spaces and so forth. Sure. So if we could go over there, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's a great space. In the hallway, it's so aesthetically pleasing, and there's a lot of high school's kind of a place that you consider to be maybe not as open to showing student work and whatnot, but if you go through the art area, you can see that the halls come alive with our kids' work. They're just incredibly talented, and I'm always amazed at the great work they can do. But to be honest, I think we have a phenomenal staff, and they have a great area, a great facility to use and to work with. So we're pleased and blessed to have not only great kids, but a great facility and also a wonderful staff to teach them as well.
Excellent.
And they enter several contests throughout the year and always are winners of some ribbon or another. And Again, we're fortunate to have another area in the building that is our Bose Gallery, which was the result of a donation from, I believe, a staff member many, many years ago, where monthly we have student work displayed there. Actually, this past month we had a teacher, one of our art teachers, have their work displayed there because she's the illustrator of a recent
Jane
children's
Yolen.
book. Yeah.
Right.
So it's a pretty nice thing for our kids to see once again, someone that is connected to our community to achieve these great things that they can certainly do as well.
Excellent, great, okay. So let's, if you don't mind, we'll take a walk over
Absolutely.
to
Sure. Love to.
the art section.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
So this is a wonderful art studio space, Bill. I know you have many rooms and you have a lot of kids who end up taking art foundation courses. My own son has taken a couple of these courses, has absolutely loved it. Can you talk a little bit about the art program?
Sure. This is one of my favorite spaces in the school. It's always aesthetically pleasing to walk down here and also to enter the classrooms. Right now we're in Mr. Cowett's classroom, who's been a long-time teacher here at Wachusett, and the art department head. And we have 7 of these spaces in the building for various courses, from very beginning art to AP studio art. We have all types of courses in between, clay and drawing and painting. So there's so many things for our kids to access, which is one of the requirements for them to graduate as well, is that they need to be involved in either the art or the music programs. But certainly, as you saw on the way down, some of the great displays of students' work throughout this classroom.
Yeah.
It's just, again, as we mentioned back in the auditorium, that I'm always incredibly surprised and impressed at how talented our students are and the work they put forward. Outside also, you'll notice the Courtyard. That's the National Art Honor Society Courtyard, where they took that on as a service project and built that and made that into a space that is great to go out there and draw.
Yeah, that's a
Great to go out
beautiful
there and
space.
do some work there, and our kids just they flourish with this physical space and the environment that's been created here at the high school. So I'm very impressed by our teaching staff and our students and their abilities, because I really don't have any artistic ability, so it's nice to see that other people do.
But it's interesting because ultimately you see really the importance of the arts and the role it plays in these kids' lives, because again, it gives them an outlet, it gives them the opportunity to really dig into something that's a little less academic and a little more creative. So
Sure.
it's a great piece and a great aspect to the high school.
Yeah, I think that certainly we feel as though the arts play a huge role in the kids' learning, and it is incredibly connected to other content areas, and we have a lot of conversations around that. In fact, one of our core values is creativity. And you always want to jump to the arts to say, okay, this is where the creativity happens. Absolutely is.
Yep.
But certainly once a kid can express themselves here, they can become creative or are more adept at becoming creative in other places. And creativity is to me, a sign of great ability to be able to, whatever the situation or the problem that you're facing. And I think a lot of that stems right down here in this wing of the building,
Right.
How the kids grow and resolve those types of issues. So a huge part of our programming here at the high school. And I think at any point when you walk down the hall, you'll see kids working together out there or working on an individual project. There's a resource room for teachers and for students to access, to go down there and do some extra work, or to access a book to get a little bit of a different angle on something they're working on. So it's just a place that really has encapsulated the whole child, and it's certainly something we strive for in other areas of the building, but they've seemed to really have done a great job accomplishing that task.
Yeah, they really have. They really have. It's very impressive. And if you haven't had the opportunity to come through, this is a great space to walk through in terms of seeing student artwork. And I'm always just absolutely flabbergasted by the quality of art and the production that comes out of this department. So, thank you very much for letting us see this space. And another space that we'd like to also see would be the gymnasium and perhaps the fields to talk a little bit about those extracurricular activities as well.
Yep, other great spaces, sure.
Okay, thank you. So we're now up in the Wachusett Regional High School Fieldhouse, and this is an unbelievable space in terms of a place for kids to participate in after-school activities, PE. I wish I had a gymnasium like this when I was growing up. Can you talk a little bit about the activities that go on here,
Sure.
the sports and so forth?
I think it's another one of those areas of our school where the community meets the school kind of thing. Certainly for our students, it's a place where they have phys ed every period of the day. this space can be broken down to 4 different, phys ed spaces, and that's aside from the tracks as well, which get utilized all the time. So certainly during the day, in that aspect, it's used always. And after school, we have many activities. Of course, athletics probably being the number one thing that gets use up here in the gym. But we have 29 athletic teams, and most of which, depending on their season, certainly practice here. Whether it be a fall sport, they come inside for inclement weather, or if it's volleyball, that's indoors. Whether it be winter track, of course they're indoors, and then certainly the spring sports, because they can't get outside right away, they access this as well. So really, every kid accesses this area
Space.
more than once a week, and we're fortunate to have it. And once a year, at least traditionally over the last several years, this is the one space in the building where we can get all students and staff together. So we have done it, last month for a pep rally, but it's an amazing sight to have, almost 2,200 kids and 150 some odd staff members wearing their green and white, and it's certainly something that brings chills to your bones, So we're very happy with this space and fortunate to have it. But I speak about the community aspect of it. The gym, as we mentioned earlier, the school never really closes. It seems like,
Right.
And the gym is one of those places where if we have our own sporting events, we have a huge following of alumni or townsfolk that just want to come in and watch students perform at a pretty high level. But also we do, other communities, other programs can access our gym, whether it be local basketball groups or whatever other events. We're hosting a large cheerleading tournament here and sometime in the future. So it's used days, nights, and weekends, and we're extremely fortunate to have it. And it gives us that, I'd like to see for athletics, that competitive home edge.
Yes,
We have a great student section that we call the Badlands, and they get a little bit not bad, but they get loud. We'll say, and I think
energetic.
It's a great support for our kids that are playing and competing, because our expectations that our kids represent our school very well on the fields and the courts. While maintaining a high level of competitiveness as well. So that's kind of what we shoot for in athletics. So it's a great facility, and it allows us to do just that.
And it's really nice. I know I've been able to attend some some indoor track meets, and this is one of the only field houses in the area. I know a couple of the other high schools have indoor tracks, but you end up hosting quite a few activities here as well. Yeah,
which is great for our kids. Not only do you have the home court advantage, but you also, when you're done, it's easier to get home. You get home at an earlier hour. So that works for us and our students. They have to get home and maybe take a shower and do some homework, but it's nice to leave from here than, say, some other town that's not as close to their home as this is. So we certainly love the facility and like to be here as much as we can. And our kids do exceedingly well here as well.
And you also have other activities that occur in this space, including the Special Olympics that you've hosted now for a few years.
Yes. Again, as I was saying, when the community comes together and the students come together, it's something special, and that is probably one of the more special events. I think this is our 3rd year coming up that we have students from all across the building, all across the district come and compete in the Special Olympics. And it involves so many components of our school community, whether it be folks from the outside, folks from central office, our students that aren't participating but are working the event, our art students that made last year's torch and some other things for it. So it just gets everybody involved in a terrific event. And without this space, I don't know how you would do that. And that's why we're very fortunate to have this space. And I spend many nights here, which I'm happy to do, because it's a good feeling when you have your students here cheering on their classmates. It's just what high school should be all about.
You're exactly right. And the energy in this space, it's always here. What's interesting about the gym as well is underneath you have a great workout space, weight room, and so forth. And I know the Bigger, Faster, Stronger program is something that has been up at the high school now for many, many years. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I actually think that Bigger, Faster, Stronger, BFS, we like to kind of call it, is something that helps our student athletes compete at an even higher level. And why do I say that? Bigger, Faster, Stronger is a training strategy for any student in our school. So if it's a sports season, the weight room or the gym facility down below is open for kids after school. They can come in, there'll be a certified instructor there, which are one of our phys ed instructors, to work with any student. a lot of our athletes take advantage of that and truly become bigger, faster, and stronger.
Right.
And you can see the changes in these young men and women's bodies over the years and how much more competitive they become. But it's a great place for students that choose to not participate in an athletic team to get involved and keep themselves healthy and learn better, we'll call it life skills on how to do that with trained professionals to do that. It's such a fortunate thing to be able to do. So for each sport season throughout the year, it's open and accessed by many of our kids, and it's certainly it's a facility that rivals, I would suggest, many colleges and universities in the area, and
Definitely.
we're very fortunate to have it along with this space as well.
And speaking of that, we have some great facilities, some great fields outside. I'd really like to go take a look at some of those right now.
Absolutely, it's a good day for it.
Okay, great. So we've now moved outside, actually behind the Fieldhouse, Bill, and we're in the midst of all the athletic fields. Can you talk a little bit about some of the activities that have been going on here? I know you have a wonderful turf field that really gets to be the place for a lot of great activities to occur and special events. So can you talk a little bit about those?
Sure. First of all, the fields are an extension of the classroom in many ways because the phys ed classes participate or take part in class out here, and the weather is nice as it is today, all times of the day for all class periods.
Right.
So they could be accessing the turf field to play soccer. They could be up on the track, running the mile or doing things like that, or in any one of the other fields. So we are fortunate. We do have a lot of kids participating, as we talked about before, participating in athletics. We're fortunate to have a place for them to go. Another space that is a nice connection with the community, because when we have our Friday night football games or soccer games, we certainly get great fan support from the community, as well as our student body, but used all the time, much needed, with 2,200 kids in the school, to get them out here to run around and get active and build their skills, really, is a great feature for us to be able to offer our kids. Again, I harken back to where we're talking about being the central focus of the kids' social life. The athletic fields play a big role in that. A little while back, we had our homecoming weekend where we had games almost every night of the week, but certainly the weekend where our varsity sports team, soccer, field hockey, and football were able to enjoy large crowds out here. We had the bonfire way up on one of the softball fields, and just a great night for our kids to enjoy. And again, I think what high school should be all about, and it makes me very proud to be able to bring that to them.
Right.
And they certainly are incredible kids and behave appropriately, and it was a good experience for all.
What's nice about this space is you do have quite a few teams, and you have great spaces for them to really train and practice and then ultimately compete. So you have a cross-country course, you have 2 softball fields, a baseball field.
Sure. Beautiful facilities, and the other piece that you can't see from where we're at right now, but up on top of the fields you can look out over the trees and see the mountains, which is just a nice feature. And as mountaineers, we like to look at the mountains. Another piece here, we talked about it being an extension of the classroom where, of course, our phys ed classes access these fields, but we have 2 features in the other area of the school externally that for Project Adventure, where we have climbing ropes, we have all types of obstacles that kids participate when they take Project Adventure as a phys ed class, and we have many sections of that for our kids to participate in. So as you drive by the high school or into the parking lot of the high school,
all the time.
You see these big structures and you wonder what goes on there. Well, if you come by during the day or during a school day, you'll see kids up there, being supported by staff, trained staff, but certainly features that many schools can't offer. And I think we're very fortunate to be able to bring these things to our kids. In a lot of ways, it helps kids overcome some of their fears of climbing or heights and doing it in a very safe environment. So being able to add those extras just makes it more of a complete experience for our students.
Yeah, and again, when I'm able to come up to the high school and I see the kids that 50 feet up in those towers, it just blows my mind to think that this is something that we're able to offer them on a daily basis, and the experiences that they're able to get through those activities through PE, but also the extracurricular activities after school.
Yep,
so.
And the climbing pieces there. We have kids that talk to us that were afraid to do it, but because they could overcome that fear, can overcome other fears. We kind of use it as a building block. Hopefully, and then our goal is to get all these things connected for better education and making our kids more prepared as they leave us after graduation and go on to whatever the next phase of their life is. So, very fortunate and wouldn't be possible without great kids and good support from the community, of course, for this facility.
Yep.
And certainly our instructors do a wonderful job as well.
They sure do. Well, thank you very much for bringing us outside today
My
and
pleasure.
through the school. And thank you very much for joining me today. And we'll see you soon. Take care.